What is the title which follows him?
Horse. I think it's horse.
Huh?
The great.
The Great. What did you say?
Alexander is horse.
Alexandra.
Alexander is horse.
Okay. Yes, so the title follows is Alexander the Great. Do you know who gave this title? Does anybody know? He gave it himself. No one gave it for him. So many years ago, when the world order was monarchy, today you have systems such as democracy, communism, socialism, so many different things are there. But when the world order was monarchy, there used to be kings. So it was a procedure where every king would make sure that wherever he would go for his conquest all across the globe, whenever they would travel with their armies, they would always carry someone who is writing down all the details of their losses and their victories in the version of what suits the king. Of course, because you are serving the kingdom. So, in the Vedic system, that is called as prashasti. So you hear sometimes when you read the books also, here comes the king who rules from the south till the north, from the rivers till the mountains in the east, this kind of sloganeering goes on for a couple of lines. And then they say, the king so and so has appeared. So those lines are basically, they are told by the king himself. Okay, this is our conquest. So then you take the main positions there and put them in the descriptions. From the Pacific to the Atlantic, because that is the territory you rule, so that's how it comes. That's called prashasti. So kings would do that. So Alexander, in his conquest, he saw that he never lost battles. And therefore, he made it very simple. Alexander the Great. And he would call himself as the son of God, Zeus. For those who have studied a little bit of Greek philosophy may know this. So, even today, the global order of the world today is based on the Greek philosophy. The idea of justice, the idea of rights, what we talk, the idea of what is the human quest, the idea of constitutional rights or constitution. This all came about in Greece when the philosophers, Socrates, he was a Jnani, or he was also a very spiritual person, but also in the quest of wanting to know what is the purpose of life, what are human beings doing amongst all of them in the planet. So they were considered to be the rebels of that time, who challenged the state authority because they were inquiring into the idea of human existence. Today, most of us, we have got this very easily. Fundamental rights. People say, oh, I am an American, I have these rights. Who has decided that you should have this right? And why they decided that this right should be there, right? Why is justice designed in a certain way? So all these ideas have come only from Europe, and specifically from Greece. Some modifications have happened in different ways. So Socrates had a follower, kind of a disciple, who was Plato, which most of you must have heard. And he had a disciple. You know his disciple? Aristotle. You have heard about him, right? That is the name. So Plato used to discuss this idea of what exactly is the core human quest. What should a spirit soul or a living entity exactly? What is his search? Where does he find a sense of fulfillment? So they were the first ones who defined happiness, fulfillment, purpose, goal of life, of of course the scriptures is there, but I'm talking from the modern history point of view. Those who defined it in the social order. And if someone is more interested in philosophy, and you'll find those discussions absolutely fascinating. Basically, it was some kind of a crossroad. In India, you call it nukkad. Right? In the evening, everybody just gathers at some crossroad and groups of people are talking. That's where Socrates would talk, Plato would talk, and they would be very impressive in their talks and ideas. So there, they were against the very form of government which was ruling, and they came out with idea of how a government should be. The best form of government they spoke is of a person who knows, who has the sense of spirituality and also the sense of statesmanship. It's very interesting. In our Vedic literatures, we have this idea called as Rajarishi. Rajarshi. One who is a Raja, he has a astute political sense, but he's also spiritual minded, therefore Rishi. So some are Rishis who are purely spiritual people, and some are Raja, kings. And if the king does not have enough spiritual depth and wisdom, he would always ensure that he has advisors, Rishis with him. So he feels that. And some were just capable themselves. So those were called as Rajarishis. So they came up with this idea that the best form of the rulers of the state would be Rajarishis, because they would rule in such a manner that the human civilization would advance themselves in the experiences of life, not just the administration of life. Today we have government which is expert in manners of administration, but not an expert in manner of experiences of life, the deeper quests. That's very interesting. And in the grades of government, okay, if you do not have a Raja Rishi, then how you do? Then you should have a Raja who is accompanied by a Rishi. If you don't have that, then what you do? Then it was, you have aristocracy, like the rich people who have some sense rule. If that doesn't work properly, then you had what is called the last of all forms of governance, was defined by Plato as democracy. And he defines democracy as democracy dash, a deviant form of government. When nothing is available, then you choose democracy. Why? The number one flaw of democracy was it works best when the masses are enlightened. If masses are stupid and dull, they will come together to elect another person just like them who fulfills their lower base, lower desires, and that would lead to a total collapse of civilization. These are not my purports. Google it out. The types of government suggested by Plato. Democracy comes the last. Why democracy? Because if someone is very selfish, then you don't have a good king, you don't have a good aristocrat, or it will take everything will go for a toss. So therefore democracy was suggested, but as the last option. Today that has become the basic order of the world. So Socrates had a disciple, Aristotle. And Aristotle was kind of the advisor or guru of Alexander. Now Alexander, in his quest to win the world, was traveling here and there. And he would often meet Aristotle and ask him, what do you suggest in this place? What should I do? So one time when he decided to enter India for conquest, he came to Aristotle and suggested, I am going to the Far East. And I have heard that there is a lot of richness there. See, the Europeans invaded the world because they didn't have anything themselves. It was not that they wanted to create a world order. Because their lack of resources. Today you have industrialization, so you have food and everything coming on. Otherwise, let's say you are here in Urbana-Champaign. If you were to depend on agriculture, the civilization would collapse. Because natural vegetation is not possible for 7-8 months a year here. So it's only because of industries that food can come and so on. So before the Industrial Revolution, people would more or less live in areas around the banks of the rivers. That was the order of life. Anything above and below the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn was not suitable for human existence because the seasons don't happen normally. So Aristotle told him, if you are going to invade India, if you are going to conquer India, that place, make sure that you meet a category of people called Swamis there. Because at that time also it seems India was quite famous, that there are yogis and rishis and Swamis there. Why so? Because they are masters in metaphysical sciences. They know a lot. There is a lot of history and science there. So, if possible, amongst all the other things you bring, try to bring some Swami here in Greece, so that we can make sense of what we are trying to build up. Their intention was very good, to build up ideas for mankind to exist. Right? So that was in the mind of Alexander. Because everywhere you get gold, everywhere you are going to plunder rubies and diamonds and pearls and whatnot. Who talks about plundering spiritual ideas? Right? Srila Prabhupada, when the one who has established ISKCON, when he first went to England, very old man, 70-year-old plus, 70 plus. So the immigration officer, he asked him, that, why are you coming here? So you know what Srila Prabhupada said? He said, you Britishers came here and looted everything from India. But I am coming to give you something which you did not loot, which was the most worthy of it. The spiritual culture. So I am going to preach this message. Anyways, so when Alexander came here, as soon as he entered India, there was a king called Ambi. He immediately, the glory of the king always precedes the king, you know. So the news spread that Alexander is coming, and before even he could attempt to fight, he decided, I don't want to have a lot of bloodshed. I'll just accept surrender and give him a little bit of the share of the plant, whatever resources we have. So he immediately accepted surrender. Alexander stayed there for a couple of days and he asked, I want to meet a Swami. Because this is what my spiritual authority has told. So he said, Swamis are not just roaming around in the kingdom. You'll find some of them in the forest. There is one such in the forest. So this is written by Alexander's, one of the writers or secretaries, Onesicritus. So he writes this thing. So Alexander sent him. He said, okay, find out in this particular region of the forest, there is a Swami. So he's known as, in their writings, he's known as Dandi Swami. So he goes in the forest and he sees that there is a person who is just lying on the floor, right under the sun, morning sun, with his eyes closed, just like an animal, sometimes basking in the sun. And he says, this person, Onesicritus talks to the Swami and says, the greatest ruler of mankind, the king of all the mortals in this world, he has called you. And come. If you don't come, we will kill you. They were so used to threatening because you are always winning. And so this Swami, he did not even open his eyes. He just started smiling. He said, I depend on no one. No one is my authority. I only follow God and no one else. So go and tell whoever has fetched for me. So he says, you don't know who has called for you. He is the Son of God himself. So the Swami again laughs and says, everyone is the Son of God. I am not coming. So Onesicritus gets so disturbed because this is the first of the incidents where he's being denied. He goes and comes to the kingdom and tells the king Ambi that we need to fetch him. He says, no, this is how Swamis are. They are highly independent minded. Why? Because they don't depend on anyone. And he's in the forest, depending on fruits and roots. He's not even like a preacher like all of us who's just moving in the society. So those days, spiritual people were in the mountains and caves and so on. So Alexander decides for himself to go because he's also feeling now this is a formidable challenge. Someone who disregards his authority. Someone who has no army but he disregards his authority. So Alexander goes and he reaches there. So it's interesting, it's explained when he reached there, this person was again sleeping on the morning time right under the sun. So Alexander's shadow falls on him. So he's like, he changes his face a bit, kind of indicating who is Jesus at last. So Alexander says, the son of Zeus, the son of God, has personally come to fetch you. Please come along with me. I want to take you to Greece. So he said, I am not coming. So Alexander says, do you know who I am? At that point, Dandi Swami, he asks in return, do you know who you are? Now that question became the whole turning point in Alexander's life because he had never imagined somebody would reveal the grandest of the truths by just simple question. Do you know who you are? He fell short of words. How do I explain now? He said, yes, I know I am the one who rules the world. He said, are you sure? Immediately, instead of arguing, Alexander said, what do you intend to tell me? He said, you are saying that you are ruling everything. Okay. I'll come with you under one condition. Here is the skin of a snake. You know, when the snake sheds the skin, then the skin curls. He said, make this skin straight and I'll come with wherever you want me to take you. I'll come with you. So Alexander starts doing that. Now imagine, he has come to rule someone and Dandi Swami is already engaged him in some menial task. So he tries to straighten. So what happens is as soon as he straightens one end of the skin, the other folds. And when he tries to straighten that side, the other thing folds. And he's unsuccessful. So Dandi Swami starts laughing. In the writings of Alexander, they write in Dandamis. So Ambis, Dandamis, the Socrates. So they have this is coming everywhere. That's how they write. So he said, your conquest of this world is like this. You'll succeed at one place and the moment you expand somewhere, you'll lose that, you'll gain here. It's impossible for you to ever maintain this control. And wherever you have won over, your own people will rebel against you. And that's the history of Alexander. He would rule, but although he ruled he conquered the significant part of the world, but there was not a simultaneous conquest that he ruled. He would win here, go here, he would lose that. Meanwhile, he proved himself that nobody can defeat me, but not a composite conquest. So that was the turning point of his life. And he realized what Aristotle had told. These are the kind of thoughts and ideas Aristotle had said. So India was known to be such and to generate some ideas such as these. Unfortunately, today the human civilization does not value these things. But this question is very profound. When someone asks you who you are, the first thing we say is my name, my association, my designations. Our whole identification is only on designations, right? Interestingly, in the Vedanta Sutra, one of the aphorisms, sutra specifically refers to that which is a very condensed form of a statement. Just like when I would memorize some formulas or some things, so some or long passages, I would remember by 2 or 3 words for each paragraph, which would reveal the whole. So, let's say, if I say, you can just add some few words, and then every word means some paragraph like that. So, basically, sutra means that a highly condensed form. It's not a shloka. Shloka means it reveals something. When you say, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana, it is revealing something, right? It is a message in itself, it's a statement. Sutras do not reveal so much because it is condensed. So, Vedanta has 544 such aphorisms or sutras, which are just like 2 words, 3 words. The first one is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, because you are students, many of you are doing research and all, I want to creep into your research ability. Because you do research, right? Significant drilling into concepts. So let's see whether you can research into this. A statement is said. Before we go to that statement, I want all of you to investigate as a police or if you were a detective. Let's say you are the first people who go to Mars, first of the people there. And there you see a board, something like this, put on the soil and a metal board, and which says, be silent. Now tell me, what does that reveal? Give me some answers. All the possible conclusions which can come to your mind. If you went to Mars and you saw this board on a wooden plank written, be silent. What does it reveal?
Someone already been there.
Someone already been there. One. Yeah.
Someone is ruling like Hitler. He shouldn't talk.
Some kind of authority is there. Yeah.
People have come there in the past and have decided not to reveal that they've been there.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Somebody made a community there. Okay, possible. What else? Yeah.
Might be a danger zone, so they're asking you to be quiet.
Might be a danger zone. Yes. More.
They don't want us to do anything there, be silent, not do anything.
Don't do anything. Yes. More. This is not a PhD level answer.
There is no air, so there is no point of talking. No one can hear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Still. Speak like a researcher. I am feeling humiliated by this.
They speak the same language.
Yes. Someone understands English.
Okay.
Very good. This is what it is. Because he's spoken in a language which I understand. That means there is the language and alphabet structure is similar. Very good. Now build up on this. Think like a detective. Don't follow the instruction, be silent, Yeah, of course that's one of the conclusions, but what does it reveal? You are the only people there on the Mars. What conclusions can come about? Yes.
Like maybe not reveal a secret about something. Like be silent.
Go more basic.
Okay. They're expecting other people to come to the place.
Very good. They are also expecting someone could come here because this message is written for someone. You are not seeing any human being. Yes?
I'm not the first.
I am not the first. Very good. More. Now you are coming to the point. If you saw a wooden board, that also says something, right? That there is a presence of wood here. Or metal. If there is metal, then there is some metallurgy. Or how did they bring it? There is some paint. Something is there.
No, but how it is possible? Someone bring it from
Yeah.
here to the Mars.
Correct.
Like we went, then someone bring the board.
Possible. That's what. But you have to come to that conclusion, right? Somebody has brought it or it's already there.
It
Either
doesn't mean
ways.
like there is a tree or something wooden. It means someone bring it,
That-
and they went back.
That is also one may, right? That's what I'm saying. This is good. Come out with some possibilities. There are two possibilities, that there is wood there and there is, or somebody brought it. Good. That's what I'm saying. Think like that. You are right. Yes. They have tools over there to make it, or you brought the tools. Again, possibilities are there. So you come out with yes.
Maybe they knew that you were gonna end up there at some point.
Yeah, that's what someone said. Yeah, exactly. So just these two words there reveal so many things. Now coming to this first aphorism of Brahma Sutra. You don't need too much of spiritual knowledge for that. When it says Athato Brahma Jigyasa, basically Atha means Athaha Brahma Jigyasa. That is what those words are. Athaha means therefore or thus. And Ataha means now. The word coming later is Brahma. Brahma means Brahman, the absolute truth, and Jigyasa means curiosity. In English it means now, therefore now inquire into the absolute truth. Tell me what this statement reveals. In the lines of what we discussed with Be Silent. Don't get into the ethereal aspects. Jigyasa is curiosity, truth is curiosity, right? Truth is truth. What are the other things which reveal?
There must be an absolute truth if we want to inquire about it.
Very good.
There are so many hypotheses among that we should find out the exact.
Excellent. Are you all getting what he's saying? There are so many hypotheses which is possible, but it's now precisely indicating something. Yes.
There's like something we're supposed to know before investigating into the absolute truth, because he said therefore.
Exactly. Beautiful. Give him a applause. The very fact this word comes, therefore, means there has been already a theory which has been going on, or something has happened before, and you always use the word therefore as a conclusive statement, right? So when it says thus, therefore, now what does that now mean here? What does it reveal? You don't need to be a very great sage. Just investigate. There's a letter. Therefore, now I will kill him. So immediately it reveals too many things, right? Think like that as a detective. What does that word now mean?
I mean, that they have researched different solutions and now they have reached to the best solution present.
Beautiful. An applause for that. You have researched or done so many things so far which have been good or grand or great or whatever. No. Just like sometimes, when you're playing with, if you have seen in your homes or maybe when you were young, when you do a lot of mischief, then mommy or your mother or father will come and say, okay, now come in it. When they say now means what? You have already done enough whatever you have been doing before that word now has been introduced. Right? Huh?
Damage done.
Yeah. You have all. So this word now already conveys that so many things have been done before. Therefore now, so now come to the main point. So I'm giving you a sense of how Vedanta Sutras, what is a sutra? Isn't it beautiful? Now therefore inquire about to the absolute truth. Tell me what that also reveals, more fundamental.
Once you get the truth, you don't need to speak. Like, you just get satisfied with it.
Yes, that also can be a conclusion. Very good.
So as time changes, all the understanding also keep changing or evolving.
Yeah. Suppose you had all forms of languages in the world which write the same thing. And you have cats and dogs and horses and rabbits, all different forms of pets. Can you make them understand this statement?
Human beings.
Not in its entirety.
Okay, and how much in its partiality?
I mean, there have been like, you can teach animals things, but you can't really make them understand philosophically.
Yeah, you cannot make them comprehend.
Yeah.
You can train them. If this sound comes, this is what I'm supposed to do. They cannot comprehend it properly. So that's what I'm saying. When it says now, that also means whoever can comprehend it, the responsibility lies on that person. The only species which can comprehend this statement is what?
Human.
Human being. So this law applies to whom? Human being, not to animals. Instinctively, we are designed to seek the absolute truth. And this is why, despite the greatest of the conquests in the world, and you may have your best of your spouses or cars and things, whatever, you have a tendency to look beyond, look furthermore. I always tell this, a dog will never look further. If it has a master who gives its daily biscuits, he's okay. He's not thinking my master has just a Toyota and that other fellow using the BMW or also. It's just not possible. They are just happy I have a master, just like you, I also have a master. You can never train any species to become spiritual because they are fundamentally not capable for it. And human being is fundamentally capable for it, and therefore it rules every single species. It rules over civilization, and what a desire this insignificant spirit soul has. It wants to conquer the universe. Which species amongst the scripturally 8.4 million species, if now you say about 14 million species are there, which species has thought to conquer? No fish wants to conquer land, no land animals want to conquer water, no aerial species want to conquer. It's only human who wants to conquer everything. Whatever he or he sees, he wants to conquer, he wants to rule, he wants to understand. Why do you think that this urge to understand is there? Why are you not happy with only your subjects? Now that you are getting a salary, you care nothing about anyone else now. Why is it that still you get into concepts of poetry, ideas of life, philosophies? Why is that? Isn't it mystifying? You don't need scriptures for that. Even if you just silently sit, you will be baffled that there is an unreal urge which goes in our heart. And that is our core ability. It will never rest till you inquire about the absolute truth. And therefore the Vedanta Sutra starts with this. Now therefore, it is implied in brackets for, since you have already got a human form of life, inquire about the absolute truth, the only species which is designed to understand these concepts. You may have a different definition of it here and there, Ram, Krishna, Shiva, Jesus, etc. whatever. But the aspect of inquiry is not an option. It has never been an option. Even the demons in all the cultures of the world, if you read, they also wanted to rule over the universe and have the feeling that I am the number one. It's amazing. We all are complete as our core constitution as a spirit soul, but just like there's a whole, this image is made up of pixels, right? You understand pixels, right? But imagine there is one pixel which is missing. Human species that we have a complete pixel except one. That gap, through that gap we are supposed to reach the absolute truth and get the absolute science. And because that gap is there, we keep searching and searching and searching and searching. And that gap is designed so that we come to the absolute truth. So, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, very beautiful literature, very nicely it is described that all the senses which we have as human beings, these are very high level advanced senses. We are not just meant to design some instruments for, let's say, mechanical, electrical or biophysical, etc. etc. The senses can go beyond the physical realities. That's how our senses are designed. Huh? So it says, Kamasya na indriya pritir labho jiveta yavata jivasya tattva jignasa na arthas yascheh karmavi. That, my dear spirit soul, the senses which you have got are so advanced. Please don't use these highly advanced senses merely for sensory pleasures. Of course, you can get sensory pleasures through them. What is a sensory pleasure? To see a nice object, to hear your favorite music, to touch something which pleases you, to smell something which pleases you. That is what is called as sensory pleasures. In Sanskrit, that is what is called Indriya Priti. Priti means love. That which is dear. So don't just use the senses for those purposes. Of course, as our life is there, we have to have some kind of fun and joy. But it is saying that is not the purpose for it, although you can get it. That is a byproduct. Jivasa tattva jigyasa. You are meant to inquire about the truth, exactly, how things work. Essentially, if we would see, when we see a smartphone typically, an ordinary person will just go to the shop and say, I need $500, $600 to buy this, and he'll say, how is the feeling? The touch screen is going good. How is the video? How is the streaming? We are just going to see the superficial aspects. You give this to an electronic engineer who understands the technology, he'll be baffled. One of my very close friends who lives in Europe, he was telling me, and he's doing research on all these subjects. So he was telling me, Prabhu, this small chip, we think that we bought this phone for $500, $600,000, whatever we pay. But the technology is mind-boggling. It is a wonder, it's a mystery. That a typical silicon wafer carries the natural properties. See, we are not inducing properties in it. The properties are already there. You are modifying it plus and minus, right? Most of the research is all about that. Otherwise, you could take a paper and then make a chip out of it. You don't do that. These properties are naturally existing in this universe. And so much of what a brilliant combination of things. So I was asking him about when they talk about this, that it has 1 billion transistors. I said, how do you put 1 billion transistors in? You heard about that, right? It's 1 billion transistors. What is 1 billion? Can you comprehend that number? You cannot even comprehend 1 million. 1 billion is 1,000 billion. Even if you put the smallest of the dots, how can you put it in that small piece? It's just impossible. They were saying this, it is highly advanced machines who just construct that at nano level and so on. That itself, just listening from him was so fascinating. He was enjoying, his appreciation for these products was at a different level. Our appreciation is at a very superficial level. After 6 months we want to replace. I'm trying to say, one who understands things, he sees things differently. So, Indriya Priti, we are getting baffled just by the superficial abilities of the Indriyas that I can see and I can eat and that's. But once you understand the core ability, what these senses can do, these human senses, you will not stop at just your superficial level. you will know that I can go to a very different level of experience with this. That is what is saying. Jivasya tattva jigyasa. So I'll just read the translations. Life's desire should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. What a strong statement. Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. See, as long as you have a struggling life, the goal of life is to earn money. So 50, 60, 70 years you'll keep earning money. Once you have enough money, then what is the goal of life?
Health.
Okay, health. Once you have money and health, then what is the goal of life? Some of you have money and some of you have reasonably good health. What is the goal of life?
Power.
Power. Yes. Once you have money, health and power, what is the goal of life?
Name and the history.
Name and history. Very good. Applause. This goes step by step. First is money, then influence, power. Of course, health is always there in that. Once you do that, then you want recognition. Once that is gone, that is begotten, what next?
Maintain that.
Peace.
Respect.
That's what he said. Respect. What else?
Maintain that same. Keep expanding.
Expanding, but yeah, you got it. Let's say you are Elon Musk now. What next? Your name, fame, longevity. Yes. What else?
At the end, health only is there.
But health is for something now. अपने आप से health has no meaning. Na? Like we want health for something, right?
Happiness, social relationships, peaceful self-actualization.
That would have come in the first step itself.
Now, once you have these things, life becomes a big question which you are having right now. Okay, what next?
Yeah.
But that fact is there, you will ask this question, what next? Kuch to karna hai. Something to be done. So if you don't know what to do, then you'll just expand. You'll say longevity, 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. Then we have statements in scripture, someone who has ruled enough. He's like, I'm done. Like that. Winston Churchill, who was the Prime Minister of England, who is credited, he was at that juncture of his history that the Second World War happened, and then he crafted this, the final strategies from a political point of view, where they won over the Hitler. Germany was defeated and they won. After the Second World War, Winston Churchill was asked, what a great accomplishment, the First World War and the Second World War. He was asked, what else do you want? A reporter asked him, as a glorious, you have great feat, what next is your goal? Does anybody know what was his answer? He said, nothing but death. That's amazing. He was so much done with, got so disillusioned with the cost of the victory and the victory itself. He just saw what life is all about. Digya. He said nothing but death. When I first read it, I had chills. That you conquer the world. This is exactly what happened to Arjun in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. After he won the war, he went to Krishna and asked him, now what? Finally, all the quarrel was still you didn't have things. Now you have the whole world at your disposition. Now what? Suddenly life throws a very big question. Now what? And that's the most scary question. Once you accomplish something, see, you are students, so you may not understand the full gist of it. But very soon you are going to get your jobs and a little bit of money, and maybe you have some children. the question will come. Okay. And that's when people start inquiring. They start searching. Let's say even if you doubt, I don't believe in Bhagavatam, no problem. But you will search through something. Through poetry, through writing, through discussions, through self-introspection and so on. So the scriptures then go, the intent of the scripture is to make our life easier, to give us some reference points, not to impose an idea of truth. This you should understand very clearly. Not to blindly follow and accept. That we know it all, we have seen it all. Why? Because someone has done 10,000 years of austerity and the truth has got revealed to him, therefore you have a mandate to follow and believe. No, not like that. They create reference points, just like your own scientists earlier have created some reference points for you to do research, right? Most of the people don't know the basics also. Whatever research you are doing, truly there are very few scientists in the world these days. There are very few mathematicians. Because they do not understand the core fundamentals. They are developing on some existing fundamental more further. So, credits to them for that. But they do not understand many core fundamentals. I was just asking a group of students the other day. I think where you were was there? Where was this? I asked about A square. Right? You were there? No. Okay. You guys don't speak. Let us test. Fundamentals. You all heard about A square, right? A plus B the whole square. What is that?
A square plus B square plus 2AB.
Yeah. So what is the meaning of A square?
It's like even plus or minus make it plus. Negative number of first.
Okay, but what is the meaning of A square?
A times A.
Okay, A times A. That is, you are just representing it in the text. That's not the meaning of it.
It's like a blank space for you to fill out whatever number you want to actually fill.
No. What does A square mean? If you have a mathematical brain, you should know what it means. See, many people love mathematics. It was my favorite subject. But what does A square mean?
The area of the square drawn with the length.
Area of a square whose side is A. So when you say A square, it is a representation of a geometric figure. A square in itself has no meaning. It represents something. Algebraic expression, there is no algebra as such. Algebra is nothing but a representation of geometry in the universe. Correct? What else? Go in that same, what does that A square mean? One more thing.
Some of the first A odd numbers.
Okay, those are all at the level of algebra. I hope you understood this thing.
Yeah.
Algebra is a representation of geometry. In itself, there is no value meaning to algebra. So whenever you see algebraic terms, it should reveal geometric figures in your mind if you are a mathematician. What is A cube?
Volume.
Volume of cube. Meaning length, width, height.
Yeah. So you can visualize there is a cube whose length is A. Right? So what is A raised to 4? There are terms like that, right? There is A raised to 5. Now come to this. If you are saying, you say A into A into A into A. No. That's just an algebraic form. What does A raised to 5 mean? What is the picture which comes in your mind?
Five-dimensional object.
Is it 5-dimensional object? Exactly. Not 5 sides. A square is a 2-dimensional object, A cube is a 3-dimensional object, A4 is a tetrahedron, A5 is a 5, A7 is a 7-dimensional object, which is beyond for the human to conceive. I hope I have contributed to your understanding. Now that you see some algebraic terms, so whenever you see formulas, what I'm trying to say is when Einstein or these kind of scientists or those hardcore math, when they see formulas, they are seeing figures and formations, and it reveals those kind of things because they understand basic things. I did my study under a physicist and a mathematician for 1 year who taught me how the original ideas of squares, these formulas, this permutation, combinations and so on, they were first discovered. It is so fascinating. You'll fall in love with that subject. And truly, then you'll love to want to do even more research. That's how it is, how the original ideas came out. Scriptures do something like that because all of us may not have so much, so it gives some reference. My point is this, it gives some reference that you have a core ability to investigate, introspect, question, doubt. Animals don't do that. Their ability to doubt is so less. Their ability to investigate does not go beyond their interests of food or their need for sex and some kind of cave or shelter which they want. Eating, sleeping, mating, different, they cannot do that. And knowing well that human being is designed to investigate, so the Shastras then they reveal these things. They speak these things. Okay. There is something called inquiry into the truth. Jigyasa, so by default it is there. You have that curiosity. It gives direction to the curiosity. Let that ability be in the right direction. Then it gives direction. When you go on that marg, that path of curiosity, you will encounter these things, these challenges. Then it will tell, so and so person, so and so king, so and so queen, so and so person, how he dealt with these challenges and how he discovered or found meaning in his life. So when we hear these stories, these are just that. These are stories of people who have made deep spiritual journeys. Then comes the final point, when you have it all, when you have done it all, seen it all, what else? I am now fully satisfied. When a person is relatively satisfied with the things of the world, then still this question comes, what next? And that is where the Vedic literature reveal that until one works to satisfy the greater self, one does not have the complete satisfaction. Now this is a very baffling concept if it's understood from a very scientific point of view. What is the greater self? I have a self which is mine. So Vedanta Sutra again expands this idea. After Brahma Jigyasa and you reach to some conclusion, it says Tattvamasi. You are that truth itself having those same properties. When you see somebody else Soham, he also has this, he also constitutionally is of the same. So my satisfaction cannot be exclusive to his satisfaction. Means I can never derive true joy and satisfaction at the cost of someone else. These ideas expand the human abilities. Let's work for the greater welfare, greater good. And then you come to the idea of the inner self, what we simply call in scriptures as Param Atma. So Atma is the soul, Param Atma is the super soul. You come with these ideas. So Bhagavatam then explains. Dharma swanushtitah pumsam vishvakshena kathasuya na utpadayed yadi ratim shrama evahi kevalam. I'll just end in 2 minutes, very nice. At the end of the day, when you do not feel intense love or affection or attraction for someone, till that point your life remains dry or it seems worthless. There is no closure to that person. This is what is explained. Na utpadayat, if attraction for whom? The super self, or simplified words it's to say, if not to the absolute truth, then you will feel that your life has just been a useless labor. Temporarily you will feel satisfied, but in long term you won't. You will feel the fatigue of it. So very interesting ideas come about. So Dharma of the soul is just that. First to know yourself properly and then know how to satisfy yourself. That is the only journey which we have to make. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.